Welcome to the Respect the Ranch podcast for March 2014. I'm Jack, Scott Bailey's son. If you are new to the RBV podcast, each one is built around a theme, then explores that theme through art, interviews, and essays by Rancho staff and students. This month's podcast is built around the theme of fathers. Few relationships between people can be as diverse, complicated, and powerful as the one between fathers and their children. So here's my own dad to tell you about the acts in this podcast. I'll just go in the other room and get ready to show my dad how to use a basic Xbox remote. It's actually pretty sad he can't do it himself.
Thanks, Jack. Now go clean your room and do your homework. So our March podcast in 4 acts. In Act 1, an essay by an RBV senior about his parents and road trips. In Act 2, a poem about the complexity of father-son relationships performed by an RBV custodian. In Act 3, an interview with an RBV math teacher about the power of adoption. And finally, Act 4, a survey of the freshman class of 2017 about their parents. All this to come on our Respect the Ranch podcast on the theme of fathers for March 2014. Let's get started. Act 1. RBV senior Hayden Royster has always had a deep love for the arts. From his involvement in Artistic Rhapsody, Rancho's literary arts magazine, to his work painting, to his 4 years on the stage as part of our exceptional drama program, it would be hard to imagine a young man more excited about the creative world. But as we see in this essay on parents, those passions stem from unexpected and some divine places.
Let's set the scene, shall we? It's a typical Royster family road trip. The same stretch of Highway 99 slides on and on outside the windows, an endless streak of Central Valley, like the dismal city of Bakersfield on a 5-hour loop. An aroma of bovine and dirt lingers as it wafts through the air vents. In the back seat, right side, I planted myself in the pages of another novel. My sister, to my left, is determined to conquer travel bingo, as she scours the roads with the unwavering scrutiny of a steadfast health inspector. In the passenger seat, my mom's eye traces the miles as they whiz by. Softly, tapping the steering wheel with his fingertips, my dad murmurs the chorus of some song that has since faded into the distant recesses of pop culture's judicious memory. Suddenly, abruptly, from out of oblivion, my father is singing full voice, blaring out the lyrics at decibels that shock us all out of our activities. Without hesitating, my mom jumps in, singing the harmony, the volume increasing, and my sister soon leaps into the fray with some background vocals, some oh yeahs, uh-huhs, and bow bow bows, that kind of thing. That's where I come in, with a bodacious drum/clapping solo that uses all of my surroundings, the seat in front of me, the cup holder, the window, my lap, my sister's head, the roof. And now we're all clapping, shouting the lyrics at a frantic rate, and then, as if by some familial burst of telepathy, we all cut off our frenzied additions in perfect unity, and silence returns to the car. Laughter is next. This is my family. I come from a weird bunch, to say the least. My dad is a visual art teacher. My mom is a music teacher. As a child, I was inundated with the arts. Paintings hung on the wall. Music played all year long. My dad would come at the end of the school year with cardboard boxes brimming full of unfinished high school art sketchbooks. And for the entire summer, I would fill any scrap of white with the stories burbling forth from my mind. One of my earliest memories of my mom is of my father and I sitting in a theater, munching on raisinets, eyes glued to the stage as my mother sang the part of the narrator in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Creativity was the mantra of the household. Game nights, craft nights, movie nights. School projects would be transformed into a communal family effort to designate the most unique and most spectacular entry in the class. The tired and trite trifold became a fake game show about California. A drawing turned into a collage. Extra credit developed into an extensive parody of a Kenny Loggins song that followed the plot of a book assigned for third-grade reading. Even today, music rings out from every room of the house. Our various artistic triumphs line the halls and walls, and creativity is still the name of the game. even before creativity, there had always been an emphasis on God in my home. That was never in question. As a child, I must admit, there were fights. There was screaming. There were those nights that I wondered about my parents, asking myself, how could best friends hurt each other so much? And while these things took their toll, what remained ultimately was a respect for their constant and consistent reliance and acceptance of a power and will greater than that of their own. God was their rock, their foundation, their salvation, and it, in turn, in time became mine. I don't think their marriage could have survived without faith, and I don't think our family could have either. With 50% of marriages ending in divorce and thousands of families in shambles, I am grateful for the faith and the art to which I owe so much of who I am. See, believe it or not, accept it or not, we owe our parents almost everything. And yet there is this mentality right now, so prevalent in our adolescent years, that we owe our parents nothing. Our deepest primal fear, or so we claim, is that we will end up just like them. We don't want to owe them anything. We want to have entered and exited their houses unscathed by their inscrutable ways. That is impossible. Our idiosyncrasies, our relationship expectations, our values, our insecurities, our passions, these are remnants, residue from 18 years of parental influence. We will forever bear the battle scars and fingerprints of over a decade of doing time in a household run by the same people who brought you into the world. Are your parents flawed? Absolutely. Have they made mistakes, large ones even, in assisting your transition to adulthood? Undoubtedly. Would you be the person you are without them? No. For better or worse, you owe them much. There are times, I must admit, when I wish that I had learned how to play football, like really, really learned. Because, let's face it, if we graded me on the scorecard of contemporary American masculinity, the guy's guy scorecard, we'd see a lot of unchecked boxes. Never had a girlfriend, never kissed a girl, never been in a fight, never thrown a punch, can't bench his body weight, doesn't have ESPN or cable or even a working knowledge of players and rosters and statistics and athletic lore. Honestly, there are times when I wish that I was someone else. It's true. But the fact of the matter is, I was born of a different breed. And it's not like I never kicked a soccer ball or played catch with my dad or had a basketball hoop in my backyard. But for whatever reason, the pencil and paintbrush always felt better in my hand. I always felt more comfortable running around on the field, throwing around one-liners and jokes than I did actually throwing the ball. I always learned that dating was not something to be taken lightly, because we often regret what we take lightly. Like it or not, that was my world. I was born into it. So are you. You are the person you are because of the people your parents were and are. Of course, there is an urge, I guess, to distance myself from my family. I suppose I could do it. I could run. I am 18 years old, after all. I could hop on the train or Greyhound bus or whatever and let it transport me wherever I so desired and make a name for myself as far away from the influence of my parents as I could. I could do it. We all could, and maybe we will. But eventually, I'd find myself in the driver's seat of a car, having to explain why it was that I chose to sing Paul Simon songs at the top of my lungs while drumming on the steering wheel with my fingers.
I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain to see for certain.
RBV's Hayden Royster and his essay on parents. And now Act 2. Many of you might not know him, but you see his work all over Rancho's campus every day. Head night custodian Alvenus Murrell has been working at RBV for decades, served in the Marines, and is the proud father of 4 children. Fortunately for us, between his job, parenting, and his golfing dates, he graciously agreed to present Robert Hayden's classic poem about fathers, Those Winter Sundays.
Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays too my father got up early and put on his clothes in the blue-black cold. Then with cracked hands that ached from labor and the weekday weather made banked fires blazed. No one ever thanked him. I waked and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he called, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him, who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's astir in lonely offices?
RBV custodian Alvenus Murrell and his exceptional reading of Robert Hayden's Those Winter Sundays. And now Act 3. It only takes a few minutes of conversation to understand why so many students and staff members adore him. RBV math teacher Ron Ferreirae is one of those people who instantly makes you feel comfortable and genuinely is interested in a good conversation. Perhaps it is that caring for people that has led him to adopt several children over the past few decades, in addition to raising his own biological children. We sat down for a casual conversation with him about the logistics of adoption and the rewards of parenting.
AC would probably be a noise problem, wouldn't it?
Maybe. It's
All
a
right.
little stuffy. I get it. You want to turn it on anyway?
Nah,
You sure?
I need to lose a few pounds.
Well, that makes one of us.
Yeah.
I'm as physically fit as I'll ever be. If I'm not careful, weight just falls right off me.
I bet.
So I need to make sure that I'm eating lots of sugar and having more than one pint.
And you're doing your best at that.
Well,
so.
you know, I'm an overachiever.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here with Ron Ferreirae, math teacher at Rancho Buena Vista High School. Ron, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. So, can you tell me how to spell your last name?
Yes, I can.
Can you? Will you?
Ferreirae.
Okay.
It
Actually,
wasn't-
this is really awkward, but I think you misspelled your last name.
No.
No, you didn't. Okay.
No, sorry.
I do every time I try to send an email.
You misspell your name?
No, your name.
Oh.
Consistently.
Yeah.
How many times do people come up and say that to you, do you think? How do you spell your last name?
Often.
Is it French?
Depends on which relative you listen to. French, Portuguese, and then somebody added the E later
I
at
see.
the end.
Probably to get a job in
It's-
America, no doubt.
Or the good stories prevent hiding from the law, of course.
Really?
Because, you know,
Is that true?
I doubt it.
No, meaning is it true that that's one of the family stories?
That's one of the
that's-
stories, yeah.
So there's two things that I have been thinking about with you this last week and talking with people who work with you. One of
Behind
the
my back,
most consistent
obviously.
reactions about you is this phrase "Renaissance man" comes up constantly. Have you heard that before
I'm
about
not
you?
that old. No.
Have you heard that before about you being a Renaissance man? As people compliment you,
Someone has, yes. Actually, a couple people are on campus.
right? So, do you agree with it? Do you feel like you? Because that's a compliment, right? I mean, it's
It's a compliment. I do different things, if that's what it means.
Okay, so
I don't.
I know I play basketball with you, so I organized a staff senior basketball game. You know that. And the first year I organized that, we're to like year 12. But the first year, you're like, yeah, I'll play.
Yeah.
So then you showed up in the gym. I'd never played with you before. And, you know, you're, compared to me, you're a smaller
I'm
man.
a short, dorky looking guy. Yeah. It's
Exactly.
all for what it
You got the
is.
glasses, you got the, you can start to
And
see
that was
some...
the high top Converse year, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool, man, because everyone loves you. So
need
from my
bodies.
perspective, we need bodies, and this guy, kids love him, so he's great for gate fees. Kids are showing up to see him, and then, dude, you're like a basketball player.
Once upon a time.
Okay. And then we just learned recently, at least in the last couple of years, that you played saxophone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you play in high school?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
When did
in
you start
college.
when did you start?
5th grade.
Oh, okay. So right before, probably they had junior highs then. So even in elementary
Yeah,
school,
I was an
right?
elementary school band guy.
Wow.
Total band geek.
Wow. So you did that, and then you said you played in college?
Yeah.
For the...
For school bands and then some other making a little money in restaurants kind of stuff.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So you'd get... Okay, wait, let me back up. Where'd you go to college?
First at UC Riverside and then at Berkeley.
And then in Berkeley. And did you play in the band in both of those schools?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Wow, that's no small thing.
Okay.
Don't you think?
It's
It is, okay, is the parallel the same as like collegiate sports?
no. Well, depending on where you are,
Okay,
but not there. I
Okay.
mean, good programs, but not
okay.
Getting in the band at Berkeley is a lot easier than getting on the basketball team.
Do you think? Right. But it's also not a cakewalk. You don't just walk in and you say, hey, I can
I'm
blow
going
this
to take
thing.
this up. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then you were starting to, as you went through college, you were getting side gigs, working in...
Just a few guys would get together and make a band and go play at a bar or a restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Get tips and food.
When did you stop doing that?
About when I started working.
Oh, yeah? Once you got a real job, man?
Yeah.
Okay, so you graduated, so you started at Riverside and then you graduated from Berkeley.
I got my credential at Berkeley.
You got your credential at Berkeley.
Yeah.
You got your
Undergrad.
degree, your undergrad.
Riverside.
What was that in? What was your degree in?
In double major in computer science and math.
Computer science and math out of Riverside, and then your credential out of Berkeley.
Yeah.
And did you teach in the Bay Area? Bay Area?
Yeah, I taught at Pittsburgh High School for 5 years, which is a suburb out in the East Bay.
Okay.
And then at a middle school for 3 years, and then took 3 years off to stay home with kids.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually 1 year, taught at Pittsburgh for 5 years, took a year off to stay home with my firstborn, and then went back to a different job for 3 years, and then spent 2 more years home with 2 kids.
Okay. And
then moved down here.
then you moved down here. Okay.
Yeah.
So that put you down here in the
1998.
1998. I was like say mid-90s. So 1998. And then you came straight to RBV?
Started at Washington.
Oh, okay.
So I did 6 years at Washington, and now this is my 10th at RBV.
Well, you're sort of a renaissance man of the education world as well. You've had a lot of tastes from different places, huh?
Yeah.
I got my teaching credential at San Francisco State. Graduated from Santa Barbara.
Go Gators.
Gators, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Are they the Gators?
I think aren't they Golden Gators?
They are, I
Isn't
think
that?
so, yeah, which is a creepy name. Okay, so then you're down here and you're at RBV and you've been here since 2000 and what is that, 4 or 5, something like that?
Something like that.
Okay.
You do the math.
I would, but I'd pull a muscle. It's too humiliating. Okay, so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was one, because you're a superstar here.
Oh, yeah.
The other one is that our theme is on parenting, and you and I ran into each other, this is just to let people know, you and I ran into each other last summer, I think, at a youth baseball game.
Yes.
Neither of us realized that we had kids that were playing baseball and that were at the same age. And it's then that I realized that you have 2 sons, 2 new sons,
Yes.
and that you're in the middle of a process of adoption.
Yes. And just for the record, my son's team won.
I do remember that. Yeah, your sons were the good team. My son's weak and small.
I didn't say it was because of them. I just said their team won.
So, hey, have you seen their signs? I think they're mostly on the East Coast, but their signs that they're posting at youth Little League fields to, in essence, to control parents.
Really?
And it's a list of 5 things. And they get increasingly sarcastic as you go. The first one is, number 1, things to remember if you're a parent of Little League. Number 1, these are kids, right? And then number 2 is coaches volunteer. But then it gets increasingly sarcastic. The last one is your kid doesn't play for and then fill in the professional team, the Yankees or the Tigers or the Giants or whatever.
Nice.
You're yeah, and if you've ever been to some of those games, right?
Well, mine are planning to umpire for the 9 and 10-year-olds this year.
Really?
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's a different level when you're
Dealing
starting to
with
umpire a referee.
parents
Yeah.
For that. Yeah. Some of my other kids did soccer, and it was eye-opening.
Do you think it makes them a better athlete if they've gone through the umpire or the reffing stage too? Do you think they know the game a
little
bit
bit
better?
in terms of knowing the game,
Yeah.
but also just it definitely makes them a better person because they hear what's said at them and realize, ooh, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make people feel good.
Yeah, and then when you're playing and you want to say something, you realize, no, I really shouldn't.
It's not worth it.
I don't want to be that guy.
Okay, so what I had realized back to the game, what I'd realized with your 2 sons is that you were in the process of adopting them, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your experience with adoption and foster care, I think, right? So let me try to get your family straight here. So you have
We have
one biological son?
one biological son, one biological daughter.
Okay. And how old are they now?
They are now, the daughter is 21 and the son is 18.
Okay. And then you went into a process of having a couple of other children who
Right.
are adopted.
When
Is that
they
right?
were, how old were they at the time? 4 and 7, maybe 4 and 8. Decided we wanted to have more kids, but didn't really want to start over. Didn't want to do diapers again and all of that.
Which makes you sane. Go on.
And before having kids, we had talked about adoption just in terms of if we can't have our own, is this an option for us? And decided yes, it certainly was. So that's where we went from there. And so then we adopted 2 kids then who were 6 and 8. They were birth siblings, a boy and a girl. And that was in the year 2000. And then as they all grew up, we were down to our last 2 at home, 17 and 18-year-old boys. And we had talked some about possibly doing it again. And kind of once they're gone, we'll see if we want to do it again. But realized that they would be such amazing role models. I mean, they are just the nicest, most polite teenage boys, which don't come along every day. And so we realized that trying to speed up our timetable would be a good idea so that they could be an influence before they had moved out.
Wow.
And so then we got 2 more in the summer of 2012.
So just recently. And what are the 2 most recent boys? Their names are Brian
Chris and Brian.
Chris and Brian, right?
And they are twins.
And they're twins.
They are now 13, in 8th grade.
Wow. Amazing. And so now it's just really the 2 of them at home. Right?
There's one of the older boys is home now. He'd gone away to school for a year, and now he's back going to Miracosta. So.
Okay. So then the theory was that you'd have sort of like a real strong influence from these older boys.
Right.
How did that seem to work? Did it seem
pretty well.
Yeah,
Definitely. The younger boys were able to see things of how a quote-unquote normal family could function. They'd bounced around through a lot of different foster care situations, so had seen a lot of not so positive things. So it was good for them to see just what normal could be like.
Yeah, and what little I know about the foster care system is that's a pretty typical experience, I
Definitely.
think. This bumping around. What I had read, at least this week in research, is somewhere between 2 and 3 years if children move into an adoptive family, right?
That's the maximum they stay before moving on.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
sounds. Wouldn't be surprised if it's even faster than that.
Yeah, so interesting theory that they get to see what a functional family looks like. And if you didn't have a teenager in the house, then they don't actually get to see how a healthy interaction happens.
Then
Is
it's
that
just
the idea?
brand new that
Right.
it's just, I'm just here with these adults and who knows what kind of rules they're making up and all that
Right,
kind
and
of
they can
stuff.
pretend that this is healthy, but I
Right.
haven't actually seen
And they
it.
can pretend, and in the child's mind, it can be, they didn't treat their other kids like this,
Right.
and things like that, where this way they're seeing, this
Right.
is the way everybody gets treated.
How much do you learn about the family life of the children that you're adopting? About the kind of circumstances they have come
You
up
learn
through?
everything that we've adopted through the county. So you learn everything that the county knows,
Okay.
which in our cases have both been quite a bit. But sometimes there's not a lot of history there. So, but everything they know, they tell you. They're not trying to hide you or hide anything or
Because
keep
they don't
things
want anyone
from you.
Okay. They don't want anyone to feel blindsided.
Exactly. And they don't want you to bring back the merchandise or anything. So
Right, which is what happens
it
sometimes,
does
right?
happen. Yeah.
But not your experience.
No, things have gone very well for us.
So can you walk us through like the process? Like I think, I have relatively little idea of what it's like on how you decide if, a child and a foster parent, you call it a foster parent or an adopted parent? You're
Well,
technically an adopted parent now.
It depends on the situation. There are some people who are just in it for foster care. They plan to have the kids for a while, who knows how long, and then they're going to get new ones.
They're the temporary family until the children get adopted or age out. Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay.
And then there are other people who are going in it with the idea of adopting, but when you first get the children, they're officially foster.
I see.
And so until you then go through all the process and paperwork and however much time it takes until that is made finalized, so then they are adopted. So
Okay, so
you
it's
kind
both.
of go through a process.
Depending on where you are.
Exactly.
Okay. So can you kind of walk through that process? How do you decide if there's a fit that's going to work? I mean, have you ever had a fit that doesn't work?
No.
Oh, okay.
Although, well, let me start at the beginning. You go through being approved.
Okay.
Whether it's foster or adoptive, it's kind of the same process where you have to take classes learning about different. It's just different than having birth children. There's different issues that may come up, so they want to make sure you're prepared for all that type of stuff.
So there's an actual training that you go through?
Yeah, trainings and classes you go to, and you go through what's called a home study, where they look at you.
Bye-bye.
And your history, and so all of that to make sure that you are fit for this job, and then they inspect your house to make sure everything's not dangerous. And
Boy, the second time you did this, you knew what to expect, but the first time, was that a pretty strange? That had to be a pretty strange experience.
it's a little bizarre, yeah. It's
like you're
kind of
trying out
like
for a
getting
fraternity.
invasive surgery.
Oh, okay,
or
with that.
something. It's okay. But so you go through this whole process, and you're finally approved. And then once you're approved, then I don't know how it works exactly in the foster case, because we are always looking to adopt.
Right.
So then they want to have a match.
Okay.
And there's different ways they go about that. The social workers who have children that they're trying to place, they kind of meet every week or 2 weeks. Here's the kids we've got, and then the workers who are working with the potential parents. Here's new parents we have in. Is there anything that seems like a good fit here? Because part of the home study process is you can be very open or very specific to what you're willing to take in terms of gender, in terms of race, in terms of school abilities, learning disabilities. Are you willing to take someone who's got physical disabilities of very severe ranges? So you're kind of, here's what I'm able to deal with.
Kind of check the boxes criteria, kind of.
And then, of course, they walk in and say, well, we've got this. Would you still be, they want to stretch you out as much as possible because they've got someone who needs to be placed.
So stretch you out, meaning even though
this... said you weren't going to go for this, but we've got this kid. How's that look to you?
Is gender really that important to you, or is ethnicity that
Right,
important?
right.
Or okay.
And so you go through all of that. The way we got our first two was they have events sometimes where the workers and potential parents all come to a big meeting hall type place, and the children aren't there because that would just be cruel. It would be kind of like a dog and pony show, pick me, pick me. So they don't do that. But they have pictures of the kids and little stories, and you kind of walk around the room and read these, and no, that's not one. No, just in terms of age and everything that you kind of were looking for. And we found our first two that way.
What are their names?
Damon and Angelica.
Damon and Angelica.
Yes.
Okay. And then Chris and Brian. Okay.
And so we read their little bio, and they talked about things that they like to do. It was, hey, that's things that we do. And so then you let the social worker know, hey, we think we might be interested. And so then the social worker for the children looks at your files, and they kind of decide if they think they like you or not.
Okay.
But all of this is done without any knowledge to the children. Again,
Got it.
because you don't want them feeling rejected any more than they already have been.
Right.
And so we kind of got through all that, and things came together. And so what they want from you, though, is a commitment that, yes, we're doing this before they tell the children or you meet the children. Because, again, you don't want to meet them
obvious.
and then,
Right.
oh, yeah, these people didn't want you either.
Yeah. Oh, breaks your heart, man.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
some of the stuff that goes on. It's just criminal. So we did that, and we got to the point, and then, okay, we've got a match. We're moving forward. And again, in that process, that's when they tell you everything they know, because they want to make sure you're going into this with your eyes wide open.
Right. And were you shocked? Wait, the first
some of the history that they'd
Yeah.
been through, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Yeah, not good. But
which is why they've landed in that,
right, that's
they're
why they are
total
where they
victims in
are.
that, but
Right.
they've been, okay.
And so then we said, yep, this is who we want. And then we met them. And it turned out they were on suddenly a much more speedy timetable than normal because the foster home they were in needed them out. And so usually, and what happened with our second go-around was you meet them and you go hang out at the park together, go to dinner. Then they start coming and hanging out for the weekends a little bit, just kind of slowly weaning them into living with you.
Right.
Whereas the first time around we met them, I think on a Thursday, they came and spent the weekend, and then the next Friday they moved in.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
That was it.
That's a total outlier experience,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Okay. So they must have been in they really had to move out of that other.
Right, it wasn't a bad situation. It was just
Right.
the foster parents that had an older child moving back home. They needed the room.
Sure.
So
Right. What's that initial meeting like? Is that, I mean, it's got to be.
so awkward.
It's gotta be
Hi,
so
I'm your
awkward.
dad now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really bizarre. One of the things they tell you to do, which is really good, is to bring some things, kind of gifts, but less as, here, I'm showering you with gifts, but just more a place to start conversations.
Yeah.
You know, we brought ingredients for making cookies, you know, so hey, here's something we can do. We can sit down, make cookies together, things like that. They have you bring, it's called, is it the life book? No, family book, a family book. Just kind of photos of your family with some captions put in. Here's who we are, here's what we're about.
And that's what you two did that.
Right.
I'm sorry, what's your wife's name again?
Carrie.
Oh, it's Carrie, right.
And again, that's just kind of a good place for conversation,
Right.
as opposed to this awkward, hi, how's it going?
Yeah. There's a cocktail party-like quality to it that is, you need icebreakers, right?
And so then, a little sitting around doing that, but then just getting out to a park, let's go to the playground, run around, play together, just start having experiences as opposed to awkward conversation.
And like any relationship, it just slowly, well, I guess your first two.
It still slowly grows.
Right,
they're
but
in your
you're
house
forced,
while it's slowly
probably
growing.
right, but it just slowly grows. It's like any relationship that is built on trust.
And like most, like the beginning of the school year, you get a little honeymoon period, and then the testing starts, and all that same stuff.
Okay, so maybe we can talk about the more typical process then. So other than Damon and Angelica.
Yeah. So with Chris and Brian, it was the same kind of process.
Right.
And so then we met and, again, went in the park and hung out and threw football around, played some basketball and things like that. And I think that was probably about mid-April. And so then we started doing a few weekends where they'd come, and then a little bit of stretching that out into, they'd still stay Sunday night, and then we'd drive them down to school for Monday. They were down in South County, so.
Okay.
But just starting to get a little more of that, look, here's how things are more typical.
Right.
You know, doing school, spending another night with us where we're doing homework together, not just playing and having fun. And
like real life stuff.
Yeah. So that went on for more like about 2 months. And then it kind of all coincided with the end of the school year in mid-June, so that was a good time for them to then move, leave their old school and their old home, and then move in and have the summer together, and then started school up in the fall.
Wow, fantastic. Didn't you say, I'm trying to remember our conversation over the summer when I first learned about you and your family, there's like a name for different stages? Or is there it's not coming back to me. Isn't there like a moment where both sides decide that they want to take it to a next level? Isn't there a name for that, moment or something like that?
It's a little different with the two boys now, because once you hit 12 years old, then legally you have the right to say, I want to be adopted or not. They don't have the decision of where they want to live. So if the social workers say, you're living in this home, you can't say, no, I'm not.
I see.
Although, of course, many children then force the issue with behavior to get out of that situation.
Right.
But legally, they can say, I don't want to be adopted. And so, again, it starts out as a foster placement, and with our first two kids, they were 6 and 8, so it was just, we move right through to adoption. But with the two boys now, it's been a situation of nothing's going to go forward until they agree to it.
I got it.
And so then once that happens, then legal things take place in terms of then legally separating the birth parents. And so that it's called terminating their rights. So they no longer have parental rights.
Right.
But they don't want to do that until they're sure there's going to be this permanent placement. Because if that falls apart, then they call them legal orphans,
Right.
wards of the state, and
Right.
nobody wants that.
That gets a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
Your two older children, biological children, how did they react to it?
The first time around, it was interesting because we kind of broke all.
I'm sorry,
the
what are their names again?
rules. Michelle and Nick.
Michelle and Nick.
Michelle
Okay.
and Nick. And they were like 8 and 4 at the time. And there's guidelines for when you're adding to your family. Things like don't bring in a child who's now older than what you had. You know, kind of displaces that sense of I'm the oldest child.
There's a hierarchy that
we
you have to
broke
respect.
that rule. Don't make kids who are now the same age. We broke that when the girls were now 6 months apart, so they were in all the same grades and classes and things like that. So they dealt with a lot of that stuff really well. But beforehand, it was just a lot of kind of like if you're just having a new baby, things you talk about with your kids, and
Right.
here's the changes that you can expect.
Okay.
And yes, you're going to feel jealous at times. Yes, you're going to have all these different things with somebody new. So a lot of that was pretty similar to just adding a new baby to the family.
Okay. Did you ever run into the problems with the age thing, that you can see any conflicts that arose from bringing in an older?
I mean, there were certainly things that just, well, it was interesting with our daughter, Michelle. We had talked about this when we saw Damon and Angelica and said, you know, how would you feel about this? She'd be 6 months older than you.
Yeah.
And in her always beyond her years wisdom, kind of thought about it for a second and said, well, as long as you treat us the same, it would be fine. I was like, oh, okay.
And you said, I can't accept that contract. I'm sorry.
Well, and of course it turned out that she was growing up more mature because she'd had a more stable environment
Sure.
and everything. So in a sense, she was kind of treated with the respect
Right.
and
she was a big
of the
sister,
older
probably.
child. So yeah, so
Huh.
for practical reasons, it kind of turned out that nothing really changed. But
So there's not a lot of families who do what you and Carrie have done. And are there any people around you who said, don't do this, this is a mistake? With either?
nobody said that, but there was certainly questions that kind of implied that. Nobody came out directly and said, no,
Right,
don't do that.
right.
Kind of more of a, are you sure you know what you're getting into here? And
Are you
the
sure
answer
you know?
was no, we don't. And
I don't know any new parent who knows what they're getting into, right?
And the second time around, though, there were definitely a few of our friends who we'd met through the whole adoption process who were kind of, I would never do this again. Are you sure you're really up for this?
So you two are an exception even beyond,
A little bit,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why they sound like great boys, and what little I saw of them,
They are
respectful
they're
young
like
men and-
anybody else. They have their moments,
Yeah, right.
and certainly there are issues that come up
that are unique
to the situation.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but it's there's times when you think, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Right.
That's again
Yeah,
like having
yesterday
kids.
morning with my own kid. My God, what have we done?
Or getting into teaching. Oh my gosh, what have I done?
Yeah, all right. So you did have some people questioning you. Now, did you and Carrie kind of? Were you two always on the same page? With it sounds like your early conversation was we may adopt someday. You're on the same page. What about the second round? How did that
Even the
conversation?
first round, both times.
Who pitched the second?
She pitched the first both times.
She
She threw out the first pitch.
Wow.
Yeah. And the second time around, it took me a little longer to come around.
Mm-hmm.
But even the first time, one of the things, as we both say, wait, do we really want to do this, is we just kind of said, we only get one shot at this whole game of life, and we don't want to look back and say, we really should have done that. So
Yeah.
let's go for it.
Yeah, that does make me think about what kind of qualities a person who makes that kind of choice needs to have to be successful. Yeah.
Little insanity. Yeah.
It can't parallel just. There must be something different about people who choose to take on that kind of complication in their life. As much as it benefits and it's a fantastic thing, it's not the same as just becoming a new parent, a
Right.
biological
No,
parent.
definitely not. And
So,
it's-
what do you think's different? What's different about, say, you to me? I will never. I don't think I will ever become a foster parent, right? Or I probably will not adopt.
Well, and at the same time, I can't see myself being a foster parent.
Right.
It's just, I look at people who do that and think, oh my gosh, you're amazing. How do you
Yeah,
do this? It's
yeah.
just not something that would be comfortable with me. I don't know if there's any special quality. It's just that we all make those different choices. And this works for me. I can do this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm satisfied with that answer. I really feel like there's some
Again,
other
I
thing.
feel it's kind of like teaching. There are people who look at you and say, oh my gosh, you're crazy. How
Yeah.
can you do that? And it's, but it's who you are. It works for you, and you enjoy it, and you get the benefits from it. And
I don't need to justify
it's for some
it.
people, and it's not for other people.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely don't have that in me. Whatever thing that's missing in me that you have is it's an interesting thing to think about. I don't really feel guilty about it. It's not about guilt.
It's like the ability to block out. You've got it. I don't. Really.
Yeah, that's just because of cheesecake, though.
Well, whatever it may be.
It's too many pints of Ben and Jerry's.
I don't know if that's possible.
Well, it's a remarkable thing, and I really appreciate you being so honest and talking about it. I know lots of people are curious about it, and I'm glad I have this moment in your life recorded anyway. I mean, who knows?
For posterity.
For posterity, and your third round, you'll look back and you say, wow, that second round was pretty great.
It's interesting because people say you're going to do this again, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no. But then again, 10 years ago I said the same thing.
Right, exactly.
But I'd be very surprised just getting up there in age. It's definitely noticing some differences, especially with the going and running around and playing. Yeah, it's not like it was 10 years ago, is it?
Yeah.
13-year-olds, I had no problem keeping up with them then. Now it's a little more of a challenge.
It's a different gig now. Good deal. Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate you talking.
It was fun.
RBV math teacher Ron Fillet and his experiences as a father. And finally, Act 4. We came to RBV over this last summer to ask incoming freshmen one of two questions. What are your parents most excited about? And what are your parents most afraid of as you come to high school? Here are their entertaining predictions.
Hi, my name is Karen. I think my parents are most worried that I might get bullied.
Hi, my name is Alejandra. I think my parents are most worried that I won't have managed my time a lot and have a lot of extracurricular activities, and I'm taking a lot of honors. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Claire. I think my parents are looking forward to me making friends because I'm not normally open to making friends with people. So they're excited for that.
Hi, my first name is Trainer. I think my parents are most worried about me cracking under all the stress that's going on because when I first went to middle school, I was really edgy about what was happening with my homework.
Hi, my name is Yasel. I think my parents are most worried that I might make bad decisions during my freshman year.
Hi, my name is Parker, and I think that my parents are worried, or my mom is worried about me not doing my homework because I would get lazy.
Hi, my name is Shunha, and I think my parents are looking forward to finishing high school so I could get a good career.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. I think my parents are most worried about that of my homework because I'm taking all the highest classes, so I'll have a lot of it, and they'll be worried that I'm not finished with it.
Hi, my name is Katie. I think my parents are most worried about the amount of homework that I won't finish on time.
Hi, my name is Tony. I think my parents are looking forward to seeing how good I do in high school and other stuff.
Hi, my name is Blake. I think my parents are most worried that I will get bad grades in high school because I am taking all honors.
Hi, my name is Rihanna. I think my parents are worried that I might get lost in the school.
Hi, my name is Ozzy. I think my parents are worried about the most drugs. Drugs always going around like marijuana, gateway drugs.
Hi, my name is Armad. I think my parents are looking forward to have me being good at school and on the football field as well, so I'm able to get a full-ride scholarship to any college I possibly can.
Hi, my name is Jacob, and I think my parents are most worried about me breaking my neck when I play football.
Hi, my name is Kobe. I think my parents are mostly worried that I'm going to be the small one at school.
Hi, my name is Joe. I think my parents are looking forward to that I do good in football and my grades and all, that I hope I take more responsibility in school and all and do my homework on time.
Hi, my name is Keone. I think my parents are most worried about me because I might break my neck in football.
Hi, my name is Julia. I think my parents are looking forward to me learning new experiences and having a great time at high school.
Hi, my name is Lindsay. I think my parents are looking forward to me having like a great year because it's a new experience and it'll be really fun.
Hi, my name is Ollie. I think my parents are looking forward for me to challenge my classes and my education.
Hi, my name is Zach. I think my parents are looking forward to my baseball career because I think I have a good future in baseball.
Hi, my name is Litzy, and I think my parents are most worried about that I might start using drugs.
Okay, hi, my name is Astrid. I think my parents are most worried about that I'll get low grades because I might be more, what's the word? More like, social.
Hi, my name is Leslie, and I think my parents are looking forward to seeing me graduate in 4 years because they think I should do good in school.
Hi, my name is Leah, and I think my parents are looking forward for me to graduate, do good in school.
Hi, my name is Brenda, and I think my parents are looking forward for me to graduate because I'm going to be the first one to graduate from my family.
Hi, my name is Tobin. I think my parents are looking forward to seeing me grow up as a human being and graduating through RBV.
RBV's class of 2017 and their thoughts on the excitement and fears about high school life from the perspective of their parents. And that does it for the March 2014 Respect the Ranch podcast. Thanks again to RBV senior Hayden Royster, the class of 2017, and RBV staff members Alvenus Murrell and Ron Fier. You can help us with future podcasts by sending us leads on powerful stories or making theme suggestions by emailing us at rtrpodcast@gmail.com. That's rtrpodcast, one word, @gmail.com. So until next month, I'm Scott Bailey thanking you for listening to the Respect the Ranch podcast for March 2014. Hook 'em horns.
Some oh yeahs, uh-huhs, and bow bow bows, that kind of thing. And that's when I come in with a bodacious drum / crap clapping. That is not my solo. All right.